All right, we'll get this started. There we go. Hi, I'm Chris Hoyt, President of CareerXroads. I'm pleased to be live streaming the first of what will become quarterly updates on how we're doing as a company and a community at CXR. In a time where we believe transparency and accountability are more important than ever, myself and Jerry Crispin, my business partner and the co-founder of CareerXroads, felt that sharing to our members as well as to our industry what our community is working on and moving towards was something that could be good for everyone. As you've likely heard us say from time to time, we are a community of talent professionals who really care about each other and are invested in the success of our peers and colleagues around the world. So for the next few minutes, I'll cover some of the changes we implemented in 2020, many, but not all of which were largely due to the radical shift of how we work that we all felt due to the pandemic and that really hit most working teams in Q2. I'll also share some details related to our company and the community growth and follow that with a few things we've planned for the future. Now, depending on how and when you're watching this, you might be able to ask live questions as we go. This is our first live stream for something like this, so if there's time at the end, and quite honestly, if I can figure it out, I'm going to do my best to answer any questions that might come in. If you're unable to ask questions when we're live, or you just think of something later, you can always reach out to us directly via email at info@cxr.works or by calling our offices directly at 833-CXR-WORK. So let's jump in and talk a little bit about what happened in 2020. From a changes standpoint, we moved from a model of about 12 in-person meetings a year to a fully virtual and remote experience. Now, that consisted or ended up consisting of roughly 90 webinars and meetings last year, including a few open to the public happy hours and new book club meetings. Now, we created a digital membership model that then follows us into 2021. And for the vast majority of our members, a notable cost savings resulted with this new price structure. The new digital model allows for far more team members to participate in the meetings, and we're really proud of that and the feedback received from our leaders as well as participants who had never been able to actually attend before. We also launched a members and alumni piece. Now, we did this in Q3 in an effort to allow anyone who has ever been to a CXR meeting or been an active participant while their company was a member to be hailed as a veteran member. Now, Jerry Crispin and Shannon Pritchett create and drive content that is exclusive to current members and these former members. That's a dedicated exchange forum, email content, and ongoing virtual sessions on topics like employee wellness, DE&I, leadership, guest panels, the list goes on. A new hot topic session called CXR Connects has been launched and hosted by Shannon. It covers any number of interests within talent. It's pretty well attended, upwards of about 80 people in some of those meetings, and just literally had one this week with about 30 companies talking about 2021 talent acquisition priorities. Now, we've got new streamlined exchanges with secure content and access management. It's easier to use. There's no waiting on approvals for access, and a few that actually have nothing at all to do with work, a place to sort of connect and just talk with colleagues online. We launched a member advisory board. Now, members from around the world, from companies such as DaVita, MMC, ThoughtWorks, Uber, Dell, Quadient, Kimberly-Clark, PepsiCo, Intuitive Surgical, and Intuit. We've had 2 advisory meetings conducted already, and we're setting the schedule for the 2021 meetings. Now, you may know if you've been listening, we went all in on podcasts and videocasts as well. You can listen nearly anywhere you subscribe to a podcast channel, and you can find that list at cxr.work/podcast. Segments such as Moments That Matter. This is where industry practitioners and leaders are interviewing each other about moments of inequality and inequity within their own lives and professional careers, and some of these are pretty moving. We've got, on a lighter note, Uncorked. This is where Jerry and I host a conversation with a selected leader over their favorite adult beverage. If you'd like, you can sort of think of that like an episode of Drunk History, but for talent. We do a Have You Met segment as well, where we sit down with someone in our space and learn a little more about who they are and what they're doing within our industry. Oftentimes, we'll pick somebody who is most often working behind the scenes, doesn't ever actually take a stage. This gives us the opportunity to shine a light on their work and show some appreciation for them and their journey along the way. And then our newest segment that we call Expertise. That's a rapid fire 10 to 15 minutes with an industry leader or practitioner who shares one experience or one lesson learned, whether it be a victory, maybe a tough defeat, or even an insight into their own work. We also launched an onboarding and reboarding process. Many of our members have been through onboarding with Barb Reese, our VP of Marketing. She and I have gone through and rebuilt that process, and it's been picked up by Shannon, who now not only conducts the onboarding for new companies, but also a reboarding for existing members. Feedback coming in already says that our members really appreciate the refresher, and it's a great way to get their new team members involved. Lastly, our CXR Cares efforts became a foundation. Now, CareerXroads has always been about community and investing in the success of our talent colleagues. And in 2019, we put a little muscle behind that by arriving at our live meetings a day early to connect with a local community in which we were hosting our meetings. Now, literally dozens of our CXR members also came in early to meet with us at food pantries, homeless shelters, Goodwill locations, soup kitchens, and more, all in an effort to collectively contribute where help was needed. In Q3 and Q4, we turned this initiative into a 501c3 nonprofit called the CXR Foundation. Now, we already have a handful of projects underway and led by strong talent leaders. Some of those projects you might recognize include Recruiters Recruiting Recruiters. Try to say that 3 times fast. That's an effort, of course, to help displaced recruiters find employment. And Project One, a new program designed to let employed talent professionals dedicate just 1 hour to talk or encourage one person looking for employment at least one time. So we're excited about expanding the board of directors as well as the membership beyond the dozens of industry leaders, CEOs, and practitioners, and that's on both the corporate and the vendor side who are already taking part. You can see the handoff of this work from CareerXroads to the CXR Foundation at www.cxr.foundation. Yes, that's a real domain. From a membership and community growth standpoint, to give you a little bit of a breakdown on this year's membership demographic, 74% of the hundreds of member companies we have now have over 10,000 employees. 16% of those are sitting between 5,000 and 10,000 employees. But from an industry standpoint, we have an incredibly diverse makeup with only one industry hitting double digits, which, by the way, just occurred last year. And that's hospital and healthcare, now making up about 15% of our membership companies. The range of hiring reported per company still sits between 2,000 and 200,000 each. From a growth standpoint, we lost 7 companies in 2020, which is pretty historic for us, as we typically have nearly, if not, a perfect 100% renewal and return rate. Now, 5 of those companies were due to budget, as many could probably understand with everything that was going on. All 5 of those have said they're looking forward to returning when their budgets get returned. The other 2 were lost due to the removal of any TA folks that could have participated or added value to the community. We were able to welcome 5 new companies to CXR, and we're anxious to get more of their teams involved in meetings and events as we move into the new year. Lastly, what we call winbacks and boomerangs. Those are the folks that come back after being away for a year or so. And in December, we welcome 2 companies home, and we can't wait to see them actively participating again. From a community and member growth standpoint, we now sit at over 3,800 community members, 41% of whom joined just last year. Think about that for a minute. We believe this really speaks volumes to the success of our online engagement strategies and the content we've made available to everyone within those organizations that we call family, how we've connected them and allowed them to connect with each other more easily. Now, in 2020, we also redesigned and delivered our online library content. That means there are now hundreds of webinars and digital content sitting in that library. So if you had attended, for instance, a meeting where Dell and Nike and Disney presented case studies or benchmarks, you can actually find all 3 of those decks now sitting in the library. Along that same vein, benchmarks and reports. Huge growth in our reporting. We now have over 60 benchmark reports, all topics, subjects requested from our members, published and sitting there. And the format of more recent reports were updated to be a bit more interactive. Now, from a staffing perspective, we've added an accounts and project manager full-time, Kim Collins, whom many have already had the pleasure of working with during the Q4 renewals. We've also added a part-time web developer, as well as a part-time creative manager and a part-time social media manager, all whom were essentially hired in late Q3 and Q4. Now, when we talk about roadmap and moving forward, from an activity and engagement standpoint, we're looking at delivering reports to the leaders so they can see what's happening within that community with their teams. That's going to roll out in a few different phases, and we're excited to announce that soon. And I won't steal any thunder from a program, but if you've been poking around your own member profile, you've likely seen some hints of what's ahead. Also, as many of you know, we have a mobile app that's in development and scheduled for launch in Q2. We expect it to be much easier for folks within the network to connect with colleagues. We'll be doing faster updates with push notifications, and we anticipate even more engagement across the board within the community. We have a self-service account management piece that's been launched just this week. A member point person at each company has been identified, And adding team members from their organization is as easy as providing their employees with a link or sending them a direct invitation. They will fall squarely into the company's membership levels and rules. This means no more waiting for approvals or access or needing to work with Patricia, our site chatbot. We think this will essentially cut days off of the former process for everyone. We'll be delivering new tactical skills workshops beginning this month, next week actually. We'll launch that with an email customization session that'll be led by Glenn Cathy. It'll be very hands-on, lots of takeaways, and we already have 30 companies registered for that. The beauty of this new piece is that it is members only, and it is included as part of the membership. That means there are no limits to the number of recruiters or talent acquisition pros that you can send. There's no additional cost. It does not cost a ticket. You just send them. We're starting in 2021 with 12 of these planned for the year. We have a new pilot of live reporting that is launching. This will be showing members the results immediately after they've completed any surveys or benchmark reports. These are pretty exciting, and you'll see more of them as we continue into 2021. Now we're expanding a soft launch of what we're calling enhanced vendor profiles. Now, 3 years ago, our member leaders asked us for a resource to look up the vendors that their peers were verified to be using, and we built a simple database, a simple list. It then evolved into allowing members to include ratings and reviews for each that stay confidentially within the website. We're now at over 400 products and vendors within part of our community and approaching 5,000 ratings and reviews left by our members. We've now partnered with Madeline Loreno of Aptitude Research, and she's working with us to research and craft in-depth third-party overviews of companies who are interested in investing in enhanced profiles. Those include an overview of the company, its roadmap, security settings, diversity makeup, downloadable research, multimedia news streams, and of course more. The cost is cheap. It's currently only $2,500 per company, per vendor that would like an enhanced profile. And while the write-up will be public facing, the ratings and reviews will continue to be accessible only to our active members. With just our soft launch, we're already excited to actually welcome Seek Out, Aleo, Phenom, Shaker, Modern Hire, Candidate ID, Visage, Talenia, Predictive Hire, and Paradox, with over a dozen other companies who've already asked for interviews. Now, it's been a pretty fascinating journey for me as a co-owner and president of CXR for the last 5 years, and 2020 proved not only to probably be one of the most challenging chapters of my career, but also the most rewarding. I'm incredibly excited about the direction of CareerXroads and awesomely grateful to work with Jerry, Barb, Shannon, and our entire team, each working hard towards our vision of what a trusted talent community should look like. So to our colleagues, members, and peers, thanks for your time and attention, and I hope to see you